All right, time to get started, ladies and gentlemen. Well, thanks for showing up live, guys. It's really cool. I love the engagement when you guys are able to ask questions and able to bounce ideas back and forth. But what we're going to do is we're going to start off with Kim, the absolute superstar in LinkedIn. Introduce herself, introduce a little bit about how she came to be the absolute superstar she is, and the expertise in which it's in her brain she's going to share with us today. So then we're going to go into a little bit about LinkedIn and how it's used as an overall tool and overall strategy, and really how it is a platform that you can use in business. And then we'll go forward and see how you can, specific strategies and what you can use to build that network and build the relationships with ideal clients, so that not only you can build a platform for yourself, but you can have those engagements leading to your business and feeding to your business as something that's a bit more lucrative. So Kim, welcome. I love the plant behind you. It's really cool. I've got plants in my office as well. I think it has a really cool.
He's my buddy. Cool... He keeps me company.
So everyone, Kim's a bit lonely if she's getting plants here. If you want to reach out and say hi to her. So
no,
Kim,
I appreciate it. I'm glad I have an opportunity to hop on and hopefully lend some value to your group here. And let's dig right in, because there's a lot to cover. So first of all, a little bit about my background. My name is Kim Peterson Stone. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, reach out to me at Kim Peterson Stone on LinkedIn. Just do a search for me and do a quick message that you did find me via Tyson, so that I can recognize that and make sure to accept you right away. And we'll walk through how to do that correctly, which will set you apart from like 98% of the people on LinkedIn, because most people are doing it wrong. So I'll share that in a minute. But a little bit about my background. I've been on LinkedIn for a good number of years. I came on LinkedIn after the implosion of a medical device firm that I owned. We built that company to a $20 million enterprise, started it at my kitchen table, wound up getting FDA approval, wound up doing an infomercial back in the day. That was how platforms, that's how you shared your story, was via infomercial or the home shopping channel. And then we had a distribution network of people, and we created a device that used light to create or relieve pain. And it was a phenomenal company. It was a phenomenal ride. It lasted for about 8 years, and then the company eventually imploded. We grew too quickly. We were unable to scale to accommodate the demand. And when you have, a 90-day waiting period to order a device, you tend to lose customers on the front end. It was just a mess. So I racked that up to my $20 million education, I call it. And after the implosion there, I needed to really reestablish myself and decide what was next. And really, I had learned so much about networking and storytelling and how to build a brand based on the quality of what you were offering. I mean, what we were offering was something, light to relieve pain. What's that? Nobody knew what that was at the time. Now, light therapy is a little more commonplace in medical, but not still. It's still, kind of cutting edge. Had to have a platform with which to explain those things. And I became quite skilled at doing that. And when LinkedIn came to be, I started writing articles and sharing my knowledge, and over a period of time, built a following of 235,000 followers. So those are people from all over the world who have basically raised their hands and said, I'm interested in what you have to say. I'm interested in your articles. I'm interested in your posts. I'm interested in your commentary. Please share more. And what that wound up leading to was the creation of a digital marketing agency, which was more in the health and wellness space. And then about 2 years ago, made the turn to go exclusively to LinkedIn. LinkedIn was bought out by Microsoft in 2016 for like $26 billion cash. It was a heavily contested purchase between Salesforce and Microsoft. Microsoft won. And basically, they have been being companies. You can have a live TV show on LinkedIn, like YouTube. Obviously, you can hire people. You can search for new team members. You could do training. You can do everything on LinkedIn. So they want to be the place where B2B plugs in. So about 2 years ago, we made the shift, and I started a company called Linkability, where we deal primarily with enterprise clients, larger organizations, individuals within those organizations, or business owners who are looking to align themselves and own a particular market niche. So they're wanting to own certain hashtags. They're wanting to own a certain piece of a certain market. And we help them do that with network building and content creation. Everybody knows that where eyeballs are is so critical. So if you are securing that area and you are the expert in that area, then you've got all the eyeballs on you. And what winds up happening is inbound marketing at its finest, which is by the time people get to you, they kind of have already decided they want to do business with you because they've seen everything that you've done. You know, oh gosh, that's the person that's writing all the articles, and they're all, you know, they're doing that. I know already that this individual is credible. They do business with all these other people. So we help our clients build that for themselves.
Wow. Is everyone impressed or what? That's cool. That's awesome.
It's been a ride.
It definitely would have been. And that's what we can learn. We can sort of learn what enterprises are doing to build themselves and to get that slice of the market so that we can use those particular strategies and stand out, right? Stand out amongst the market, amongst the noise, because so many people are creating content these days, and everyone knows, okay, now content is king, as Gary Vee says. And so people are being bombarded with messaging and with so much content. And what we were talking about before we started recording was how you can really start establishing yourself in a different way. But I know, Kim, you wanted to really briefly explain what LinkedIn is as a platform, as a marketing machine as a whole, so that people can start to really understand what it is and how to use it the most effectively. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. There's a huge volume of people who are interested in making money online, who maybe are active online and aren't making any money, or you know, they're putting the content and all of that first in front of the value. So you've got to have the value. You've got to have, you know, what is it actually that you do? What is your niche? Where do you want to really focus? That's super, super, super critical. Otherwise, you can wind up really spinning your wheels and wasting a lot of time on social media. So let me walk you through. I'll grab the screen and just walk you through a couple of things that that I think will be helpful. So LinkedIn basically is a search engine for professionals. There are 661 million users on LinkedIn. 80% of all B2B leads, 80% of all sales done B2B that were generated online were done through LinkedIn. That's huge. That's a huge, huge number. So the volume of business that is done on LinkedIn is really, really big, because if you're in business, you're likely not going to search Google because Google's too big. You're not going to go on Facebook because professionals aren't on Facebook. Professionals are on LinkedIn. They don't have time to waste. They want to get to the answer quickly. So one of the things that LinkedIn has really leaned into is hashtag searching. So say you're in HR, you said telehealth, that Eric was in telehealth, right? So if you were in any organization, you can do searches on hashtags and see how many people are following that, okay? So if this is your space, you can see that 5,465 people are following that. It is beneficial to you to do that research and find out what exactly are those hashtags that you want to be known for, and make sure you're including those in your copy, right? So it's a place where people can go and specifically get either individuals or content or groups or companies that fall into, you know, what we're talking about here, telehealth. So over 35,000 searches came up for that particular phrase. So there's a huge amount you can do with that. You can talk within the groups. You can reach out to people that are, you know, have that in their on their profile. I mean, there's a multitude of things that you could do simply by knowing that you use the search tag to search people, jobs, groups, content, It all happens right here in the search tab, in the search term. And that's what professionals do. So it would stand to reason then that you want your profile to come up for those search terms, right? So there's different schools of thought in that. You know, some people want to put a unique, you know, unicorny sounding title, and that's certainly your prerogative. But knowing how LinkedIn works, you know that if someone is searching for the thing that you do and you have that in your profile, you're more likely to pop up for that. So this is something that I encourage people to have a Google Doc, or however you maintain information, put a date and put whatever the headline is that you have for that particular date, and monitor that like every 6 months. Like, what kind of traffic am I getting to my profile? Is my header really on point with what I'm doing? Am I generating interest of people coming to me with this particular wording? So as you can see here, when people pop up, it's very well described. This is what I do. I'm an expert LinkedIn training and service provider, not for everybody, but for world-class professionals and organizations looking to maximize their presence on LinkedIn. That's what I do. I purposefully use the words LinkedIn twice. I purposefully use training and services because we do that. So, and then also I'm the CEO of Linkability. That's my company and that's my title, and I choose to put that on there as well. So I'm going to keep that title, and I'll give you a little tip here, okay? This is an insider secret. If you are, and this is your headline that I'm talking about here. So this is going to pop up in search terms. You want to make sure it's spot on with what it is that you do. So if you choose to do your adjustments on your app, see the little pencil to the side there? That's just like it would be on your laptop, right? But if you make the adjustment on the headline on your app, you can cram in like twice as many characters. So you can really get strategic in terms of the types of wording that you want to use. You have more words to access if you actually plug it in via the app. Okay? So on your profile itself, you've got 3 really important areas that you want to nail. So number 1 is this piece of real estate right here, this graphic. You want it to be exactly what it is that you do, because you've got 2.5 seconds when someone's scrolling through, you know, their device, right? And it's going to look a little different on each type of device, whether they're on an Android or Apple or whatever. That's something also that I encourage people. This isn't something that has to stay the same forever. We're actually getting ready to do a rebrand. And then we'll be changing it, you know, for all of our different platforms. But you want to make sure that it catches people's attention. Then you want to make sure that you've got a nice tagline in there that, again, gives them kind of an idea of what it is that you do very quickly and succinctly. Then you want to make sure your headline is spot on. You've got the search terms there. And then you want to make sure that your About Us or summary section is not a resume per se, giving background information about you exclusively, but it's talking about what you do for them. And it's also giving them a CTA or call to action to get back in touch with you. In the summary section, the most important area are these 3 sentences right here, okay? Because that is what people are going to see when they go to your profile. And when you're commenting on things, what they're going to see is your name and this. So anytime you comment on anything, they're going to see your name and your title. So you better make sure that that headline is spot on with what you do, so that if they're interested, they can click. And then you want to make sure that this is also engaging enough that they're going to want to see more. So you want to give some real thought to how you're describing yourself, and are you solving problems with your wording? Are you helping to give these potential clients a feel for how it is that you are going to help them out. And then when you are managing these things, you then can take a look at your dashboard and see, you know, am I being searched by the kind of people I want to be seen by? And I just changed my headline, I want to say like last week. So I think mine is pretty off right now. But it's going to say, you know, where people that search for you work and what they do. So right now, salesperson, that's pretty high for me. Usually it's executive directors and C-suite people, which is who I'm wanting to get a hold of. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this. If it continues to have salesperson being at the highest, that means I'm not really in line with who I'm trying to get a hold of. But this is what I was talking about when I said, you change your headline, you change your graphic, you change your summary, and then you monitor how people are hitting your profile and how well that message is getting out. So that just gives you kind of a surface as far as why people come to LinkedIn, how search is done, and how that then can benefit you if you're positioning yourself properly with your profile.
That's awesome. So you guys have any questions about that? Obviously, that's a really, really cool key summary, is to make sure you have the foundations in place, right? So when people are searching, that your stuff's coming up, or even when you're commenting, then your profile information is going to come up. So it needs to be spot on with what you're doing, how you help them, and the results that you get them, rather than just a blank statement about you and what you do. So if this is helping, maybe type in yes in the chat box. If you have any questions, then that would be cool. But I know Kim's keen to dive in deep and in doing a few more different strategies.
Yeah, something else I'll mention that's just kind of a key cleanup that everybody may not be aware of. If you see here, the URL is clean. The LinkedIn URL is clean. If you have a URL with your name and a bunch of numbers against it, or on the tail end of it, it's not. And so what you want to make sure that you're doing is, or make sure that you've done rather, is to clean up that URL. And where is that? They're always moving that around. It's a setting within LinkedIn where you go and, there we go, edit your public profile and URL. You would just click here. And then if you've got a name with a bunch of numbers at the end of it, you just delete those numbers and see if your name is available. If your name is not available, then you might have to do your first name hyphen last name. You may have to adjust it somewhat, but that way you have a nice clean profile here, and it makes it a lot easier for the search engine to pick you up. And LinkedIn spills into Google as well. So LinkedIn search is going to generally pop up 1, 2, or 3 on Google. So what you do on LinkedIn is really important. Writing articles, creating content. You can attach media to your summary section. So here are some articles that I was featured in, a speech that I did, another article. These are things that people can click on, and they can listen to my work. They can read articles. They can really dig in if they want to do all of that upfront research. So by the time I'm talking to them, they pretty much have already made their decision. They know an awful lot about what it is that I do, and whether or not I would be able to help them. So that is the type of structure that you want to create around yourself. And keep in mind, this has taken years of putting things together and having one business and then dissolving that business and starting another business. So you don't start with all of this, and you're not expected to have all of this within 2 months. You want it to be rich content that you're choosing to put in alignment with your profile as you move forward in your career. But it becomes more and more powerful because people can really get a good feel for what you're all about and how you can help them.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So everyone's saying it's helpful. We got Eric, Melissa, we got Reginald. Ronan saying he hasn't looked at the persona who's visiting and me either. I didn't realize that. So that's a really cool tip. And Melissa's asking a question around content. So what about sharing articles and creating content for LinkedIn? I know that's a key topic for a lot of people. If you're going to build an audience, so this is sort of how to structure your profile so that people can find you, know exactly what it is you do. But obviously a key piece is around the content creation, because if you can create content that gets engagement, that builds a bit of a following and has people being directed towards you and your work, then that's a key piece in growing a community, or at least a following of people who like, know, and trust you and who know your work. I know you were talking earlier, Kim, about this is before we started recording, about now that larger enterprise and bigger brands are coming into the LinkedIn market, it's really key that we start to position ourselves in a different manner, and how we can stand out and actually be seen, actually be heard, and so people can see you amongst the noise. So that would be a really cool topic. If you have any advice on people who are wanting to strategize their content, wanting to do it the right way, it's going to be the most effective strategy.
Okay, so first of all, I would say don't overlook getting the foundation built first, and that's your profile. Because if you're creating content and they come to your profile and it looks totally sketchy, your credibility is shot. And you've spent a lot of time creating content that is not going to do anything for you. So although there's a huge amount of speak around content, that's great, but there has to be substance behind it. Otherwise, you can waste a lot of time creating content that does nothing for you. So I'm going to say that first, because people aren't speaking that truth in this space. But boy, I've seen a lot of people waste a lot of time and not build their business. So don't forget the foundation first. Make sure you got that in proper alignment. And I'll go so far as to say too, like if you're kind of just starting out, you want to make sure that you clean these things up with little, if you've got little jobs or little things that aren't very important, make sure you get rid of those. Make sure you just have it nice and clean so it kind of flows. If you've got gaps in your work history or whatever, that's fine. But just make sure that you're connected to companies that are, relevant if in fact you've worked for companies or you're properly explaining what you've done. So make sure that foundation is where it needs to be first. That's got to be in alignment first. Then when you're ready to create content, LinkedIn has what's called LinkedIn Pulse, or you can share video directly to the feed if you wish. I really like Pulse articles because they're kind of there forever. And then when you do Google searches on yourself, you pop up for those articles as well. Okay. So when you do that, and you could search this on anybody. So you can go to Richard Branson or Bill Gates or whomever and take a look at their activity, their articles, and obviously someone like that, they've got an agency running it for them. They're not doing it on their own, but you can do that for other people and just kind of take a look at the kind of content that they're sharing. So articles would be, I tend to lean into, group training and LinkedIn things, how to, marketing and sales, how you get those guys on the same page. So these are articles that are going to help people out. This is, some podcasts and books that I found that helped me last year. How to create a social media policy. A lot of people have no idea about all of that. So I'm creating helpful information that can be searched via Google, on LinkedIn. They can find, so once it's there, it will continue to get views and audience and feedback eternally. It just keeps going when it's evergreen content like that, something that is just factual and helpful. Of course, we'll update them as things change. As you accumulate a body of work, you can have links to those additional bodies of work. I would encourage you not to do funnel links, like click here for my free thing and then take them into a funnel. Don't do that. That's not really the kind of vibe that some people do it, but it's not terribly effective on LinkedIn. And then you want to make sure that you've got a bio where people, it's got a little bit about your story, and then it takes them to where they can do business with you or get on a phone call with you, a CTA, something that's a call to action. And then I always just throw some hashtags in there, because if someone is searching for corporate branding or personal branding or my company, I want all of my articles to pop up. And so I'm going to put that in there anyway. And then of course they can go back to the rest of your body of work. So this has taken years. You know, I would encourage you to set a goal for yourself. You know, maybe I want to do 1 article a month, or I want to do 2 articles a month, or 1 a week, or whatever your goal is. Set a goal and do it. Set a goal, get it out there, and get it done. That's where a lot of people get hung up. They want to know what's the magic formula, and then they're inconsistent. Then they get excited, and then they do something for a week, and then they drop off for a month, and then they come back. Okay, that's not a real business, and people can see that. But when you're consistently kicking stuff out, then they do. And I tell you what, like if you look at some of my really super old stuff, it's horrible. It's awful. It had to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. So you want to start doing, you know, how-tos, helpful things, stories about maybe people that you've done business with, or circumstances, mistakes that people make, things that you see, things that would be helpful and intriguing for the type of individual that you want to eventually contact you to do business with.
That's awesome. And so Regional is saying, which one's better for inbound marketing on LinkedIn? Is it articles or posts? So maybe you can talk a little bit about the difference and how people can use them.
You really look at articles as kind of your library. That's your placeholder, okay? So someone's going to go to your profile, and they're going to see all your body of work and all your articles. Your articles are indexed by Google. I mean, that's a lovely, nice little piece of property there. And then your posts, I'll take a look here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Your posts serve a number of different purposes. So, okay, so this was to the article that just went out. These are things that I do. I've done these for years, inspirational posts, just things that are very, you know, connected to what I do and the types of things that I read and the philosophies that I believe in and how I build my business and things of that nature. These tend to get, you know, a lot of views because people expect those things from me. These aren't designed to, you know, of the 235,000 people that are following me, I'm not going to do business with the vast majority of them, and that is okay. I do this as a public service announcement just to be helpful, because this is what I believe in, and this is kind of how I lead my life, and so I share that with other people. So that's this type of a post. I'm not doing any inbound marketing with that. I am just sharing. This is an example of an article that we then turned into a video, and we are going to, you know, share that out. So that this is something for inbound. So this is more so, you know, in your company staying agile. And if you want more information, you can go here and you can actually, you know, set up a consultation or an appointment or whatever. But this also came from an article. So you take your article and then you can slice and dice it and turn it into a number of different things. So this is an article piece that then got turned into a video. And then another feel-good post. This is another article leading to, you know, another article where people can grab more information. So I'm constantly kicking out information that people would ask me questions about. So here is the information. Here it is. So when they decide, hey, help me do this too, then they reach out to me to engage. Now, in terms of reaching out to them, so how many of you have not really done a whole lot of active network building on LinkedIn? So you really don't have a huge network that you're working with.
So I think many people would just be getting started. I know for me, I reach out to a lot of people and build a lot of relationships. I just don't do much content. My content's all on Facebook. So I'm thinking about repurposing that on LinkedIn. and really just leveraging what I'm already doing. But I think for people who are just really starting out with their content, really starting to build their network, they're really looking to see where can I spend my time, how often do I need to do it, how do I really start building that so I can start getting a network that's going to be beneficial.
Right. So really you need to work on that first if that's not something that you've done, because otherwise you're going to be creating content and you're going to be kicking it out and no one's going to see it. So how LinkedIn works is your network, okay, your first level connections are going to see everything that you're kicking out, depending on how active they are. Depending on how active you are is how much love the LinkedIn algorithms are going to give you. And then depending on how active they are determines how often they're going to see your content, right? And you want them to engage and see it, because then their network can see it as well. So all of the things that you want to cover, certainly people that you meet at an event, people that you meet on something like this, people that you meet in person, people that you've done business with, anybody that you know that you used to work with, be sure to reach out to them to connect. Okay, and how you would do that on a first level connection. So say, let me try to find somebody that I just, it's a third level connection and I don't know this person. I'll show you. Oh, let's just see. Just picking this random person out of, so I'm connected to Rich.
Yeah, I think this will be helpful as well to give people an indication of how they build their network, how they reach out to people and add them, how they can do it in the most effective manner.
So if this is someone who has follow as a set, I have that on my profile as well. I would encourage you not to do that if you haven't built a network yet. But if you're wanting to connect with someone on LinkedIn, do not just click connect. And that's what most everybody does. They just click connect. And then you just have something in your inbox that looks, I'll show you in a minute what it looks like. But if you go to their profile and then you click connect, then you have the ability to add a note. And when you add a note, you would either say, hey, Jafar, we met at this event and, I would love to connect with you, or we met, here and it would be appropriate to connect here on LinkedIn. Something that you have that you can copy paste and kind of modify and personalize. But make sure that you personalize that invitation, particularly if you're going after people that are, outside of your base network, okay, of the people that you know and you're connected with. If you're trying to reach outside of that, you really, really, really need to make sure you differentiate yourself, because otherwise what winds up happening is people come through and they look like this. I'll show you. So here are, here's somebody who just hit connect. So I have no idea who this person is. I don't know what the intentions are. So the likelihood is I'm going to ignore that. If it's something that's canned and whatever, I'm likely not going to connect with that person. So if you want to get attention, you really, it's amazing how many people don't do this tiny little thing that sets you way apart from everybody else. And that involves going to their profile and doing a personalized invitation. So you don't just hit connect, because that's like just, walking in someone's front door without asking for an invitation. And just to give you guys a little bit of perspective, the connections in my network, I've got a little over 10,000 connections in my network, but my followers are much greater than that, because that's my reach with the content. But the people that I'm wanting in my network that I'm actually having conversations with, that's a much smaller number. Smaller numbers are okay. Smaller numbers are actually great, unless your objective is to be a brand ambassador or something like that. If you're wanting to build your business, having smaller numbers that are higher in concentration of quality is highly advisable, rather than just going after volume. Gotcha. That's something else that's not really discussed, It's very much, cowboys and Indians, just go out and grab all that you can, but you have to assess the results you're getting. What results are you getting? How many new clients are you actually getting? What are you actually accomplishing with this time that you're spending on social?
That's cool.
You got to keep track of that.
And that's awesome, because that means the people who are already in your network start to reach out to them and build that relationship, right? So it's not necessarily about the numbers. Like this, what I've done with this Facebook group, right? The Facebook group, I'm not necessarily trying to grow the numbers. I'm building the relationships with you guys and adding so much value with calls like this, with the Transformation Group coaching calls, with a lot of different things we're going to be moving forward with. So it's very, very rare these days to have a free Facebook group and have 13 to 15 participants show up on a call like this and engage for an hour. That's not very common. But because I've put a lot of effort and energy on building the relationships with you guys and adding so much value, and not many people out there doing Zoom calls like this where it's personalized, where we can start to hang out with Jess and Kerry and Eric and Dawn and all these different people. So that can get your brain going about what you can do that's different, that's going to stand out in your content. One question that might help a lot of people here, because I know what's kind of going on in their brain, is if they're just getting started or they're at least trying to leverage what they're already doing, how often would you recommend in terms of particular goals or particular work, in terms of how many times per day or week should they be reaching out to people? How many posts should you be doing per week or whatever? I know you said in the posts you can have a set goal, but in terms of reaching out to people, connecting with people, building a network, do you have any particular outline on or recommendations on what people should be doing per week or something like that?
I encourage people to do something every day. If you can break it down to spending 20 minutes every day on your app, the app is a lifesaver. The app is super great for just making quick comments. Once you've connected with people and then you can comment on their post, that's how you can start building some communication and connection. So I would encourage you to do a little bit every day. I would encourage you to use I will hop back literally on my phone between LinkedIn and my Google Docs, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. If I've got something that I'm doing, like the people that are in my inbox, I've got to go through there at some point and, say yes or no to those guys. I'll just do that on my phone. So come in a little bit every day. If you're building your network, you want to put in like maybe 3 hours a week. And we haven't even talked about going outside of the people that you already know, right? Because I'm sure some of you are thinking that. Well, maybe you haven't built all the people that you know. You need to go through and you need to search for those people. And that, again, is in the search bar that we covered. Search their name, search who they are. It's going to tell you whether you're a first, second, or third level connection. A first level connection is you're already connected. A second level connection is you know someone in connection with you. You both know someone together. And third level is you don't know anybody together. So you want to try to grab onto second level connections first, because at least you have somebody that's connected. And I want to say, Tyson, I'm going to call you out on this and give you some props for this, because it is really rare that that someone comes to me, engages in conversation, and actually puts forth the effort. I say no to speaking gigs and to interview. I say no all the time because I just don't have time. The reason that we're talking now and the reason that we have spoken is because you took the time to go around back and actually start a conversation. And I said, I think it was you had done a seminar with somebody that we both knew in common or whatever, and that started the conversation. But you put forth the effort to do that. So whatever you did, whether you sat down in front of your laptop for 30 minutes a day or you grabbed your phone, that was the catalyst to this. And that has been the catalyst to selling books, to selling podcasts, to filling events, to selling, products that are $30,000 a month. I mean, you can attach that to anything. That flow of things and actually being a human and making those connections, that's what opens doors to make the communication happen. Totally. Being consistent every day.
Totally. So that's awesome. That's a good sort of platform for everyone to think about, right? Everyone's sending out messages to everyone else, and people getting hundreds of messages every day, especially those you really want to connect with. It's actually building the relationships with people and adding value. I know I've connected you, Kim, with many, many people, right? I send you connections all the time and connect you with people as well. That's a particular thing that I personally love doing. I find a lot of joy in connecting people and sending people others' way and just adding value in just by that sort of thing. So thanks for that. I appreciate it. And I get messages of people all the time saying, thanks for being a human. Thanks for being personable.
Yeah.
Thanks for being open and vulnerable and honest. It's one of the best things one of the number one things that people reach out for me and give me kudos for. So I appreciate that. Let's see what we got in the comments. So we got, Ronan saying that he doesn't get many requests with people personalizing it. So that's an addition for people to add in there. DJ's got a question. I use LinkedIn solely because it's directly towards B2B opportunities. What is the number one or number two thing we can do to create value with our connections? Before you answer, I love when people get creative around this. So when someone's thinking, oh, okay, what do I need to do to add value? You can get into a space of thinking, how can I do it right or wrong? And I find that cuts off a lot of people's creativity when they're coming from that place of certainty. I need to do it the right way. I love getting creative. When I sit down and meditate, I get creative with how I can add value. That's why I come to you guys in the Facebook group and just add so much value that no one's seen before and that people don't expect, is because it comes in flow for me. But it's often important to see what other people are doing as well to get that creativity going. So is there anything you would recommend, Kim, in terms of adding value to your current connections and starting to build those relationships?
Yeah, if you're not adding to your network, but you have a network of people, you have to have someone in your network so that they can see what you're doing. It really depends on what it is that you're offering. What is it that you do? What are the questions that people have for you? What are the pain points that you're solving? What are the solutions that you're providing? What do clients, why is it that you do what you do? Sharing that type of information, answering those types of questions up front, either in article form or post form, or engaging on someone else's post, sharing your expertise, or you can do that in groups. If someone is asking a question like, hey, I'm having this problem in whatever, and that's your area of expertise, then you can do that by searching hashtags as well. Same, reverse thing like people do on Twitter. And then you can go in and answer those questions. So if you're not looking to build your network, but you're looking, that you have people there that are potential clients, then you simply start sharing information that they would be asking of you if you guys were on a phone call. What are the top 3 things that you find that people ask you? What are the top 3 mistakes that people make in that particular industry or whatever?
That's
so
cool.
You start to answer those questions. And
I just sent a PDF to everyone in the group, or everyone that's engaged in the group, and in there I've got the strategy around how to connect people, and I find adding value that way, like I said before, it can be part of that creativity of who can you connect their way that's going to add value. So I've sent that PDF to a lot of you guys. It's page number 2 to walk you through the strategy of how to connect people and how to send people their way, and how you can start building relationships that way and building your council and building your community. So for example, with Kim, I know she's the expert in LinkedIn. When someone has LinkedIn questions, I send people her way. I send people to, some of you know Leanne in the group as well. There's many people I send their way so that they can add value there. And I've added instant value to both people by just sending and by connecting them. So that's something that's in the PDF that I just sent out to you guys. And there's also a video with the training as well. But I think what Kim's saying is understand who you're reaching out to, understand your market, pick up on the patterns of their pain points, their problems, their struggles. What are the key questions they're asking, and how can you be creative with adding value in that way, right? So that's where you can start really getting your creativity going, but also coming from a place of service, also coming from a place of contribution, saying, man, how is it that I can help solve this problem in a way that no one's seen before? And so that's really cool as well. And so if you can spend that 3 hours a week or whatever it may be, building those relationships and increasing different connections into your network, then doing some posts and doing some articles consistently over time, that would be really cool. And would you say, Kim, would you recommend that people who engage on your posts, would you recommend reaching out to them personally and building those relationships? Because that's what I do on Facebook all the time. Is that something that you would recommend, especially if they're looking like they could be a potential client?
Yeah, if you're just getting going with things, definitely. You know, you can see who's liked your posts. You can also see, I'll show you real quickly. So you can use the you can make your feed, this is the home page or the LinkedIn feed, kind of where everything starts, right? You can make it a little bit smarter by going to any of the posts and clicking these 3 buttons here. And then you can go to improve my feed. And you can choose to follow some people that LinkedIn, the AI is constantly trying to make it a better user experience, as all of these platforms are, because the objective is to keep you on it forever, right? So it will say, do you want to follow these people? These are people that you may have an interest in based on the other things that you commented on or whatever. So if you haven't been very active, that may be a good thing to connect and just get the conversations going. But you can go back to some of your posts and you can take a look, and actually I do this a lot for shares. I'll get people that share, and I like to always go back and say thank you so much for sharing, and LinkedIn will show you that. So you can see, who has liked it. So if you wanted to, you could see most of these people are my first level connections. Here's somebody that's a 3rd level person. So we have nobody in contact. 2nd level. Yeah, that's good. So I'm always looking for, am I hitting 2nd and 3rd level people? Because that's what I want to do. That's outside. That's going outside of where my post is. But I can go back to any of these people and say, hey, thanks so much for liking my post. I really appreciate it. Tell me more about what it is that you do. So if you're just starting out and you're needing to kind of get things going, that's a really great way to do that.
Very cool. Very cool.
And you can also go back and ask to connect with them as well.
Yeah. And that's what I found.
So
and
if they're not connected with you, you can ask them to. And then certainly if they're, I think I lost you.
No, I'm back. I'm here.
You there?
Yeah, we're back.
All right.
Cool. That's cool. That's awesome. That gives a good rundown.
So
I'll basically go through what we've talked about. So in terms of the foundations, obviously the banner, the headline, and the about us need to sort of be really, 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 targeted and really specific, and obviously really engaging for people who are coming to your profile to understand a bit more about what you do. So don't skip out on the foundation when you're sticking to articles and posts and content. So make sure the foundation's right. But then with articles and posts, it's good to see not only the articles are pretty much a library of what you're doing and the content you're creating, but the posts are more things that you enjoy sharing and just things that you love to, and things that you just love to, share with your community. But it's really cool that you're able to build relationships with people on the back end of content, on the back end of what you're doing and sharing. And so reaching out to people and having not necessarily funnel links in your profile, in your content, but call to actions of your site and what you're doing and relevant hashtags, that sort of thing. But it gives people a good idea on how you can leverage posts, how you can leverage content to build those relationships. And when you build those relationships, what I found in my time on Facebook is that when you build those relationships with people and you thank them for engaging with your posts, engaging with your stuff, and you really just come genuinely from, from your heart, people will continue to engage with your stuff, right? They'll continue to engage with your stuff. And that obviously boosts the algorithm. If people continuing to engage in your post that you just put up, then the platform sees that as something that's relevant and that people want to see. So if the Facebook or the LinkedIn, algorithm wants people to stay on their platform, they're going to want to share content that's being engaged with. So if you can thank people, build relationships, and really just come from a genuine heart-to-heart conversation, then people are going to continue to like your stuff, and it's going to get shown more. And that's just a snowball effect to how many people you can engage with, relationships you can engage with, and that just really kicks it off. So I'm going to be doing more on this on LinkedIn as well.
You always want to have the CTA, though, the catch on the other end. So like oftentimes when I connect with people, if they reach out to me, I'll say, hey, by the way, if you're ever interested in building your presence on LinkedIn, here's a bunch of articles you may find helpful. Boom. So all of those articles are answering information for them. And then they also have a way to reach me either directly, because we're connected now on LinkedIn, or on one of the links that I had in the article. So it winds up kind of selling for me while building that relationship, because the sharing of content is great and all of that. I remember, and this was from a very large influencer on LinkedIn, and we were discussing just various things. There are a lot of people that may not necessarily have a profitable followers and actually having a real business. So you want to make sure that your engagement and your communication and your outreach and all of that does lead back to that conversation, that sales conversation, because ultimately you're helping someone solve a problem with what it is that you do. So if you're getting in front of more of those people that potentially have that problem, then the likelihood increases that you're going to eventually sell them something. So always make sure that you have a way for them to reach back out to you, whether it's a link to your webpage or your Calendly link or a phone call, or to schedule a time to talk to you. Make sure that you always have that there, because you don't want to be working for these platforms for free. And that's what Facebook and LinkedIn and all of those platforms are counting on. They're counting on content creators to create an entertaining environment that people come and then they sell advertising, and that's how they make their money. So you want to make sure that you are actually capitalizing and using that technology. But what's really beautiful, I mean, I've been able to have clients in Israel and New Zealand and Canada and all throughout the States, all over the world, some that I've met online and then been able to meet in person. And I never would have been able to do that without this platform. So this platform is incredibly powerful if you continue to march it down the line and be persistent and just get out there and do the work. It's amazing what can happen when you get out there and genuinely provide a solution that people are looking for.
That's awesome. And so is there any way in which this community can help you? Is there anyone we can send your way in particular that would be an ideal client or a source of collaboration for you? Anyone we can search through our networks that we can send your way as well?
Just reach out to connect with me if you'd like to on LinkedIn. Because if you, particularly if you're just getting going and you're still not quite sure, maybe your business model isn't solidified and you're still kind of trying to figure all of that out, that there's some value here, but you're not quite sure how you're going to go about it, just go ahead and connect with me. Just search Kim Peterson Stone, connect with me, and let's be connected on LinkedIn, because what I've found is, my gosh, I have been connected with people that literally have come up a couple years later and said, hey, I saw you on this webinar, or I saw you on this podcast, or I read this article or whatever, and now I really need your help. Or now I really, so that is the beauty of it. If we could be on one another's radar, you just don't know the possibility of how things evolve as our various businesses evolve and all of that. So let's just connect. And you can use me actually as kind of a cheat sheet. I always tell people this: go through my profile and just make note, like, oh, that might be kind of a good idea. Maybe I could try to do that. You can go that area that I was telling you about on somebody's profile, where you can really see everything that they've done. Yeah. So you can take a look at all the activity that somebody's done, every single thing that they've commented on, everything, just by going to all activity. So you'll get a feel for, you know, what's going on, what the communication thing is there. Certainly you could see all the articles they've written, all the posts that they've done. If they've done documents, I didn't really cover that because the engagement there really isn't that amazing. You can also upload video. I showed you one of the videos, but you can do photos, videos, or documents directly from the homepage. And when you're doing articles, you guys, you just hit article, and that immediately takes you into the template to, you know, upload a graphic, do your headline. You can do your wording and do pictures and all of that. And you could even save it as a draft. You could put it in there, save it, click out of it, come back in later on and do it that way. So really the platform has got a lot of super great tools to help you get your information out. And then as you do start to get really active on it, then, you know, Google yourself. And you can Google yourself like every 6 months and see what pops up. Because what should be popping up are the various things that you're doing, whether it's articles or interviews or whatever it is. And LinkedIn is a big piece of getting that indexed content out there for you. So really the thing is, I would say, let's connect, let's stay on one another's radar, and we'll see where things go from there.
Awesome. That's so cool. And like she said, she's a busy lady. So if we highly appreciate this talk, and that you could share some wisdom and knowledge with us. And no doubt you're going to have everyone here reach out and add you, because if you can have Kim as a template, see what she's posting, how she's posting it, how often she's posting, even what she's commenting on other people's posts and articles, then it gives you some really good ideas for what you can do for yourself. And I think that's awesome. So we've run out of time here. I know we've got a few more questions, but maybe you can reach out and ask Kim specifically once you connect with her on LinkedIn and follow some of her stuff, because there's a few questions here about automations, there's a few things about Sales Navigator, that sort of thing. And but this has been awesome. So Kim, thanks so much. We'll definitely be in contact. We'll definitely keep this conversation going, and I look forward to seeing where this type of this relationship with everyone in here can go with you as well.
You bet. And I appreciate all you guys showing up. I just love people that are wanting to take action, make it happen. I love helping people that want to help themselves. So congratulations to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it. Take care, all.
Take care.
Bye-bye.